Okay, by now we're surely on a good roll. So let's go for it. Sine 2 theta minus 1 equals minus half. Okay, so we've got the idea by now. We're looking for solutions, and the difference here is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like there are 8 solutions here, and there were 4 in all our previous examples. So let's see what's going on here. Well, sine 2 theta should give us a hint. So this graph, which is drawn below, well, what's the period of this graph? Well, everything's happening twice as quickly, so our period is 180 degrees. So once we found this solution over here, the next solution is only going to be 180 degrees later. Once we found this solution here, the next solution will be 180. And going the other way, the same thing. Everything's repeating every 180 degrees this time. So let's see where that's going to come out and present itself to us. So first off, let's just work with our equation so that it looks something like sine something equals something. So if sine 2 theta minus 1 equals minus half, then sine 2 theta must equal a half. Which means we can find our reference angle. And I don't know if no, obviously we could have redrawn this, but so our reference angle is just arcsine of a half. Now, again, do you know your special angles? You don't need to necessarily. So I'm just going to cheat here and go shift sine of a half and see that it's 30 degrees like we saw in the first video. So 30 degrees is our reference angle. Now, if we look at the picture, we can see that 30 degrees is here. There's 30 degrees. And it's not one of our answers. Okay, maybe you can see why that's the case. Let's explore further. So our reference angle relates to this angle that we're taking sine of. So 2 theta equals 30 degrees as one of our solutions. Not theta, 2 theta. So theta equals 15 degrees would be our first solution actually. And from our cast diagram, we can remind ourselves, well, the first here sine was positive. So because it's positive, we're happy to take the 30 degrees here. But sine's also positive in the second quadrant. So if those are both 30, then our second solution is 180 minus 30. So our second solution for 2 theta, because that's what we're taking sine of, is 180 minus 30, which is 150 degrees, which means that theta is 75 degrees. So we can see that we've got our 2 solutions here. Now, earlier we said that this was going to repeat every 180 degrees. So to get from our first solution, let me remove that, to our next repeat of that, which is here, we needed to add 180 degrees. But we don't actually have to think about that too much. What we can think is that the sine graph repeats itself every 360. So when we get to this stage here, 2 theta equals 30 degrees, we can say that the sine graph repeats itself every 360 degrees. Then when we divide our equation by 2, what you do on one side, you do on both sides, and you do to every term. 2 theta is theta, 30 is 15, and we end up with 180k, where k is an integer. So here we see, just over here, we see that the period of 180 degrees presents itself. So when we get our next solution of 15 plus 180, we get 195 degrees, which relates to our next solution there. And so it will continue that way and that negative direction too. So for our second solution, 2 theta equals 150, and all we have to think is, well, the sine graph repeats every 360 degrees. So when we solve our little equation here, so that one we write down plus 360k, we divide everything by 2, and our 180k presents itself. So now when we asked for the solutions between negative 360, excuse me, that should have been a negative 360, otherwise the answer would have been easy, there aren't any solutions. then we can say, well, 15 and 75 are two of our answers, but we can keep adding 180 degrees this time. So this time when we've got our 15 degrees, we can go, well, if we add 180, we're going to get 195. And if we add 180 to that, well, we've gone too far. Let's take our 15 degrees, and if we subtract 180 degrees, we're going to get minus 165. And if we subtract another 180 degrees, we're going to get minus 345, which is still in our range. So we got there should be 4 of them related to the 15. So our 15 was here, and we've got all the ones related to that. Now we just need to look at the 75 and say, well, that 75 gave us one solution, but it's going to repeat itself every 180 degrees. So if we take 75 degrees, 75, if we add 180, 255, so that would be another solution. On our graph, 255 looks like, let's just see where we were here. So 75 was our second solution, and our next one here is 180 degrees that way, and that looks about right, 255. But we can also go left by 180 and left by another 180 to get our other solutions. So let's go back to our original 75. Minus 180 gives us minus 105. And if we subtract 180 from that, we'll get minus 285. And of course, if we subtract 280 from there, we've gone too far, because that would have been less than minus 360. Okay, so there are 8 solutions in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 relating to our graph. Okay, so I think that's a good way to stop on this video, and we'll pick up the next one in the next video.